So is there anybody else who wants to share on what they're wanting to experience here? Yes, Maxine.
As usual, I'm less focused on the ending than on the beginning. For me, all of this is always the Tao symbol, the yin and yang, that are constantly moving and becoming the opposite. That's my particular way of focusing on polarities as the union and the oneness. And ending doesn't mean discarding, it means gathering up and moving forward to me. And I don't think there's an end, it's a constant flow with the black becoming white and the white becoming black in the Tao. And I would very much like, in spite of the fact that, as I've told you before, I'm hoping to recreate myself by gathering up pieces that were lost in my birth and my childhood, and discarded with, yeah, so it goes. And becoming more whole, more complete, more integrated. And it takes both past and future. And gathering that future well out rather than just what my timeline has typically been, a few days or a few weeks, rather than years. So I hope that's of some service to someone else hearing it.
Yeah, thank you. So how to move on to this new beginning that's like just about to happen in a few days. I like how you. I'm sorry.
And the wholeness of that. They're not separate. They're one thing, an ongoing flow. Present the flow, I think, for me.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Well, I think for me, time is, in my lifetime is so flexible. Yesterday and tomorrow is often meld in one combination to make today. So I think that's another way of looking at this process, where we're reflecting on the ending, but at the same time, we're also reflecting on the beginning. Because as we stand today, we are. We are here in all that it is. So interesting. Did anybody else want to chime in before we dive into the exploration? What's your expectation, or what you're trying to get out of this, or wanting to get out of this? All right. Oh, Michelle, I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I wrote a 2021 newsletter, kind of a holiday newsletter for friends and family, and it turned out to be a 5-page letter. But I realized that it's been kind of an interior type of couple of years, more than I'm used to. And so the thing came up for me was kindness and, and practices. And so that's kind of what I'm wanting to take forward. And I think that what you're talking about here is so vital, and making that as a major intention to move forward in the world and find those spaces where not only inside ourselves, of course, first and foremost, but where they are in our world, and in those little unexpected places, and those areas that would be so easy to miss in some way, those moments of interaction with people that we know or don't know. And so I'm really wanting to learn how to hone that this year. And I think that's, to me, that's going to be it'll help. It'll help.
Certainly, yeah. I like how you say that, like paying attention to the smaller details. We're often big picture when we do these events. And what I found in my life, and in many of my clients' lives as well, it's often the small details that not only feed us more, but also allows for a greater transformation. And it's easier to change a small detail And it's not as impressive or overwhelming to say, well, I'm just going to do a little bit of this more. Thank you, Michelle. Hopefully I'll be able to offer you some kind of opening for that kindness and that practice in your life, and how we invest our lives, but also invest the world we live in, because by investing our lives, we are investing in the world we live in. All right. Is there anybody else that wish to share before we start the event? Well, the exploration, I think the event has started. All right. So Maxine, I'm just going to ask you to mute yourself just to make sure that...
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. But as we go in, I just want to make sure everybody's focused on what's going on. So I'm going to invite you to take 3 deep breaths. What we're going to be doing, I'm just going to explain a little bit the process where what I like to do is align within ourselves. So head, heart, mind, and soul, body and soul. And then connect with the 4 elements, because like I say, as a shaman, this is like what speaks to me all the time. So it's a way to also recognize that we are part of the process of this ecosystem we call Earth. And then we'll go and connect with the 5 evolutionary spheres, which are like the origins, nature, the collective mind, and our individual selves, before we touch that integrative mind. And through that connection, once those connections are going to be powerful, we're going to be sharing our breath between each other, sort of to create artificial circles that are going to go between each one of us, but also collectively within all the group, so that we can gain and touch the knowledge, the emotions, the information that each of us so geniusly has, and at the same time can share to the others through breath. So it doesn't take energy, it's only through breath. And whatever passes through you and it feels right for you, you take. Whatever doesn't, you just let out with your breath. So you stay in your energy as well. And once that circulation of energy is going to be there, I will offer the questions. I'll just ask you to drop those questions into your energy field and see what comes up. Does that feel okay with all of you? All ready to dive in? All right. So I'm going to invite you to just take deep breaths, as I'm going to use the shaker just to shake out whatever's not part of this conversation or this exploration. It's just so that we can settle down in each of our energies. So I'm going to invite you to take 1 breath in your mind. Just breathe in and just recognize all the thoughts that are there, and just in breathing out, let go of whatever thoughts or preoccupation are no longer necessary for this session. Second breath, as you take it in, make more room in that mind, make more space. Allow a void to start happening so that you can invite new ideas, new opportunities, new potentials in there. And as you take in the third breath, you might actually see a new light, a new color appear in your mind, confirming that you're ready and able to do this exploration. Now the next breath is going to go into your heart. Feel those emotions and just let out whatever is no longer necessary. And as you take the next breath, feel all the dust and particles of those emotions and just take them in and let them out. Making room again to create new emotions, to allow for new emotions, and to open the space to this exploration. And as you take the third breath in, you might see another color start forming in your heart, allowing for this exploration to take place and welcoming the next step just to happen. And now the next breath you'll take in your body. So feel all of your cells come alive as you take that breath. And as you breathe out, let go of any tensions or resistance that may be. As you take the second breath in, feel the body start relaxing, opening, settling, and just allowing for this exploration to happen. And as you take the third breath in, you're going to see more light, more tingling, more excitement, more opening, and maybe another color start to appear, confirming that you can just move into the exploration. And now you're going to take the breath into your soul, the soul that envelops you, but at the same time is deep within you. That sacred fire, that divine light that you are, and just let it be. Let that breath take it alive and just settle into the here and now of who you are, who you have always been, and who you will always be. And that third breath in the soul that allows you to be present and just sit here in this exploration, in your color, in your zone, in your vibration. Feel that alignment of the I am. I am here. I am now. I am present. Now, as you explore the ecosystem that surrounds us, you may feel the desire to move, so do so if you feel like it. Start to feel the air that surrounds you, right? So like if you extend your arms, how does it feel around you? How does it move? Is it fluid? Is there some resistance? Is there texture, color, odors coming from the air that's around you? Connect with it, dance with it. Know that you are in that same ecosystem. You are sharing the same space. It's the same here and now. Slowly feel the ground beneath your feet. How's that earth vibrating? How do you feel its gravity, its strength? Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it moving? Is it firm? Know that you're part of that ground. Your cells are the same elements of that firm environment in which you are in. Connect with the water that is alive within us, but also alive all over the earth. Feel how it flows, it moves, it percolates within the soil, but also moves over the soil. How it creates rivers, lakes, but also oceans, sometimes smoother, sometimes much more alive. Feel how it circulates regenerates and purifies, how it nourishes, and how it heals. And connect with the fire that is in every reaction and interaction. It is all exchange of energy, how it can be very slow and subtle and warm, but how it can also burst in excitement, in energy, in conversation. Feel the warmth inside you. Recognize how every cell is reacting to different chemicals, to different excitements, emotions, neurological excitements, and conversations. Feel that fire that burns within you. Touch that sacred fire that also is inside and outside of you. Now let's expand to the evolutionary spheres where we touch the spirit of origins. The spirit of origins where space and time is limitless. Touch the heavens. The universe that opens all the way around us. Where we can feel so small and at the same time so huge. Feel how the origins of our beings is still alive within you. Call upon the spirit of nature. The spirit that is alive in the flowers and the trees and the shrubs, the plants you eat, the plants that are beneath your feet when you walk, the plants that create so much greenery all around you. And connect with the animals, the birds that fly in the air, the mammals that are constantly walking the earth as we walk the earth, the insects that are often invisible but can make for such a difference in our ecosystem, the fish that live in the sea. Feel how they communicate with you. They dance with you. They are co-creating this universe with you. Connect to the community. Connect with the family that is yours, either by blood or by spirit. Connect to the communities that make you feel alive, make you feel valuable, make you feel divine. Recognize that behind you walk all of your ancestors for generations and generations and generations and generations that have lived so many lives, resisted so many change and transformation, and still are alive in you today. And now drop in your isolated self, where you are the drop in the ocean, the grain of salt, the grain of sand. Recognize how your individual self has value, has genius, has sacred knowledge that just vibrates in every cell of your body. That is what makes you you. That's your special magic. Recognize that vibration, that song, that taste, the beauty that is you in the I am. And slowly move with that vibration. Slowly become that vibration. Allow yourself to be all that you are. And as you dance, your drop will slowly touch other drops. And one step at a time, you'll start to feel that you're part of a whole, part of the ocean, part of the rivers, part of the lakes. Feel that wholeness surround you. Feel how, as you move, others move. And as others move, you move. Feel the knowledge in that collective. Feel the power in that collective. And when you're ready, just breathe in to take in that integral mind, whatever you need, and breathe out. Breathe in that wholeness that is bigger and greater than you, but at the same time recognize that you are just as great and big. That's how you become the drop in the ocean all at once, where you can dance in your isolated self, but recognize how you are also that ocean where everything exists. As we expand to the group, I'll invite you to breathe in your right arm and receive whatever you want to be receiving from the group. And when you breathe out, you share with the group with your left arm. So breathe into your right. And breathe out to your left. Receive from your right. And offer to your left. Receive from your right. And share to your left. Slowly you'll feel the circle start to live in front of you and around you, touched by every single one of the members in this exploration. But at the same time, there's another beautiful space that's being created where we are all one. So keep receiving and sharing. As you breathe in, you'll recognize new ideas, new emotions, new images that are not yours but can be yours. And as you breathe out, you share the best of you. You share what's going on. You share your potentials, your images, your desires, your hopes, your dreams, your being. Be the drop in the ocean at the same time. And now, as we are one, let us drop inside the beautiful space we've just created. The first question: what is human presence? What does it mean? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Knowing that it can be both beautiful and frightening, knowing it could be enlightening and a little bit darker. Knowing that human presence is full of colors, of variety. What is human presence for you? Now, once you know how to recognize it, we can ask the second question. Where do you stand in your human presence? Observe what comes up. Notice how you are strong, and notice where you are weak. Notice where the human presence in you is alive, and notice where it needs to come alive. And once you have this awareness, you can ask the third question. How can I bring more of my human presence into my life? For those of you who feel compelled to move and see how that movement feels, how do you need to stretch? How do you need to shift? How do you need to transform or transmute? Where can you just amplify what's already there? And what needs to start taking a little bit more place, a little bit less space? How can I bring more human presence in my life? See what intention, what clarity, what opportunity is present. And as you stand in your human presence, as it is now, start to imagine how it can be in the next cycle coming up. How can you move from where you are now to even better and more in the next cycle? What's that next step look like? And if it feels right, just imagine where you could be in another year, or the next cycle is in transition. How have you changed? How you've transformed? How are you more present in your own life? How do you stand differently? How do you interact differently? How do you express yourself differently? How do you create differently? And as you stand more in that human presence, we can now drop that fourth question. How can I offer my human presence to the world? Remember, you are breathing into this group, breathing into all that is and all that was and all that will be. And see how that offer of human presence can be different. What new options now become possible? What part of you needs to be shared, wants to be shared, is valuable to be shared? What personal magic is being called to the world? How is your sacred fire coming alive in your human presence that it can create very amazing offer? How do you move into that human presence? How do you move in that sharing and receiving? How do you stand differently when you share yourself, not only with yourself, but with the world? Who do you become when you stand in your human presence? See how it settles down within you. See how it changes the vibration within your cells. See how your posture is now different. Is there an intention, a commitment, a vow that starts to appear that allows you to become that human presence a little bit more each day? How is the world a better place? Because of you in it. Because of what you share. Because of who you are. Because of what you are. As we start gathering back to ourselves, feel that circle of breath going in and out of you. Take time to breathe in the amazing gifts we all received and share the gifts that came to you, so that we can all become conscious of the blessings this exploration offered. And slowly circle back into yourself. And instead of breathing in from the right and out of the left, just breathe into your heart and out of your heart. Into your heart and out of your heart. Breathe into your mind and out of your mind. And again, into your mind and out of your mind. And now breathe into your body and out of your body. Into your body and into the body. And slowly come back to being the drop in the ocean, where you can feel the others outside of yourself, but you're still connected to them. And so when one moves, all of us moves. And slowly bring those connections in. Come back to you. Come back to the here and now. Come back in your own alignment of head, heart, body, and soul. And when you're ready, slowly stretch out, start to move and open your eyes. And welcome back. Interesting. So how was that experience? I know I need a little bit of water, so. Awesome. So take time to come back to yourself. I know that space can be very inviting, and but we want to come back to ourselves so that we can make those reflections with a conscious mind. Just take time to look at those questions outside of the exploration where, like, what is human presence? Where are you standing in that human presence right now? How can you stand more into it in your own life? And also, how can you offer it to the world? Do you have any words you want to jot down, or a commitment, or sometimes images can be scribbled out too? It can be helpful to see right out of the meditation what might be interesting for you. Does anybody want to share what came up for them, or maybe what was surprising, what was interesting? Yeah, Gloria.
First of all, thank you very much. It was very deep. I arrived here sort of with too many things going on. I needed some time to settle, and I did settle down. And it had a very interesting and deep experience. And it was when I was being aware of the human presence that you said, that you mentioned, what is it? And I felt like a container for the world. And I saw a container, I felt a container of human presence was a container for me. And then it was very deep. And then when you started asking about what it's coming, open, I felt a sort of a time of anxiety, sort of like a whirlpool, but sort of a tunnel opening up and losing my center. And I was, I don't want to get there. I don't want to go there. But then I settled down. I think I got back to the human presence, and that settled me. And that the part of, immediately, I don't know, I would have unconsciously, I put my hand in and hold my heart, and it all settled down. And the image that I had for what's coming, it's like this. It's like a human presence, but very firm, with a firm center and both hands open, but not losing the center. Yeah, that sort of image is what I had. And I felt settled down and much more calm, and it was a very deep, and I feel completely different from when I started. So thank you very much.
That's amazing to hear. I'm glad that you find that alignment. And I like how you felt what was going on, but you could react to it too, right? Welcome the right resources in to help you settle down and get that information.
And there is one more thing that was interesting, because I was before getting into the new part, I was so much in deep and seeing colors, and all of a sudden I felt very strongly the presence of the ancestors. Immediately after that, you mentioned them. So I felt them before you mentioned them. So I was, well, that's
That's amazing. Well, we forget that they're always there, right? They're living inside our DNA constantly. So it's it's just calling to them and letting them come up more often. Oh, I'm so glad you were able to touch that. Thank you. I have one question, Gloria. Is there like intentions or something that came up for you for the next cycle?
I felt very connected to what my presence can bring to the world, because I'm in the middle of a transition time in every aspect of my life, the new year, because there's so much uncertainty and transition and so much unknown. But that's my intention. It's to bring this alignment and this human presence into whatever there is.
That's amazing. Cool. So bringing peace and alignment into the new cycle that's opening up. Awesome. Thank you. Did anybody else want to share? Michelle, yes?
Well, for the first question, what is presence? I felt like, there's this, like an open, quiet stillness that, and I think that's like Gloria was talking about this, this container. And the other thing that I felt was that, like my third eye, that's part of the openness. And then it kind of expanded. So it was not just like up here, but just open, all over my body, which was kind of strange. And then, it's this openness to myself. And that breath exercise was amazing because I really felt that, it felt like presence is, it's that embodied breath. And so that was remarkable. I mean, I think, I don't know if I can explain it, but it's that the breath is the presence. And yeah, so that's the kind of what I got out of that first question is, what is presence? It really is the breath and the breathing, and there's something about the pulse of connecting, the breathing pulse of the universe, and so that's presence inside ourselves, but it's like what we connect to, and I don't know, I can't get it any. Yeah, it's hard to get to words for this, but it was really an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's hard to put in words. I often say we have different vibrations in our heart, our mind, and our body. And so that's why that exercise is so powerful, because all of a sudden you're consciously taking the same breath and therefore giving the same intention and vibration to all four parts of you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. And yeah, the heart breath was so totally, I mean, it's like these, like you were saying, it's like these colors, and it's almost like this musical, some kind of a musical composition going down and up them and out, which I really, really loved. And then there's this kind of energetic form that, it's this energy that, this kind of like, it's familiar because it's so ancient, to be able to get connected to that. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
And did you get an intention or something that came up for you, how to be in that human presence?
I really liked what you said about this, either amplify for more space or less space. And I realized that, it's like adjusting it, because I have a tendency to spend time up here. And so I, I, I thought, well, what would happen if I just, kind of balance this out a little bit less space here, more space here, and more, more space in action in the world. So that's what I came up with for myself. And in terms of the next cycle, this it's kind of a strange thing came up, was that having presence with technology, because I really believe that I stopped myself because of technology, and I don't have a great relationship with it. And I thought, well, it's a form of intelligence, with its own energetic form, and what would it be to be present with it and learn from it? So anyway, that came up for me.
That's interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and in terms of human presence in the world, I think this is a beautiful offering that you're giving here. And Stephen's work, I've got some ideas. I'm really wanting to develop some more work on forgiveness. And I did a number of different classes on forgiveness about 5 years ago, and I want to bring that back in a little bit, because I think the world needs that right now.
That's a beautiful intention. I wish you much, much luck for that, because I also believe we need to start living in that forgiveness more often.
Yeah.
Thank you. Daniel, yes.
Thank you, Suzanne, for this unconventional way of guiding this session. Thank you very much. And it's been a very somatic and deep experience for me. I get from this session the importance of being deeply rooted, and in addition to that, having the experience from a physical perspective. And I got a lot of energy, and the standing point for me, it's within the heart. What is human presence? It's extremely difficult to put it in words, or to define, or to have a cognitive explanation. And that leads even to more theoretical explanation. So it's why it's so difficult to explain. However, human presence is what we have done, actually. The breath is the first thing we're in touch with when we are born. So, and it will be the last thing that we will be in touch when it will be our last second of life. So, and what has been really interesting for me in this experience is breathe in and breathe out, receiving and sharing. And I think it's something which is very simple, and at the same time that connects to others, and to be fully alive, and to be fully aware that we are surrounded by others. We are not isolated individuals. We are a collective. We are a group collection of people. So it doesn't mean that we are all the same. Of course, our singularity is a richness to get in touch with other singularities, and that creates beauty. And so the main part has been really this deep and physical and somatic experience, and feeling this groundedness. And only from that perspective we can be human, because we are there to have a physical experience, and in this way I felt a lot of energy, and I had also a sense of many things can be done effortlessly, because there is no effort to do to access what is already available. Breathe in, breathe out. It's already available. Connection from the heart. It's really effortless, because all of us, we have a heart. And if we connect from that very deep physical and tangible perspective, we can access to what is already there, our ancestors. And that experience was also very interesting, because I could see faces, unknown faces, so people have never met, and at the same time, probably yes. But it was also interesting as experience. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Suzanne.
sharing. Thank you. I like how simple that breathing exercise is. And I work a lot with light workers or shamans or other people in the energetic world, where it's easy for us to get out of the body because we love that energy. It just tingles. But it becomes so much more powerful when we actually stay in our body and breathe it in from the body. So thank you for living that somatic experience. I could feel you going and just like working through it. It was awesome to feel you going through that experience and just living it. I'm a little bit curious to see if there's an intention for the next year, right? Because you spoke about what came up, but is there like something you want to grab onto?
Yes. I express it, even though I was not pretty clear on that. It's this turning point within the heart. So this is for me something I want to keep alive, not to grasp, but to keep alive, and to nourish every day, to access as often as possible, and to feel this energy, because it's real about energy. It's not about thoughts. It's not about prediction or cognitive representation of something that could exist or that could not exist or doesn't exist. I don't know, but it's real about what is here in this very moment. And the heart for me is something. This turning point, being in the heart, is something that could be very helpful for me to act in my daily life effortlessly. And this is something that came up very often. Actually, it was not so cognitive, probably at the same time, very cognitive and also very somatic. And I could feel it. I could feel it. In order to make it clear, it's the word I could use. I don't know if it's the proper term. However, this is what I deeply experience, and it's not the first time I have this experience of doing things effortlessly. And I think that's something. It is important for me to keep alive.
Mm.
This is my experience for the next year.
Yeah,
So,
well,
actually,
yeah.
it's not for the next year. It has already started.
Mm-hmm.
So this is it's very confusing because you ask the question. It was very difficult for me to say, okay, this is what I've said, and then this is the projection. Actually, not, because it's already there.
That's what's amazing about it, right? And that's why I like doing this exercise like combined, because like I say, time and space is just a human figment of our imagination. So as we touch it, we already are that. So it's really cool that and I think it's right? Everything I do as a shaman comes from the heart. And if you just start your day with breathing in, doing that breathing circle, right? Breathing in from whatever you're comfortable to breathe in, right? Because you only take what you're comfortable in. But if you breathe it in into your heart and you let it out and you create sort of like this first circle right in front of you, and you can hold it with your arms at first, it's going to help. If you do it one way and then you do it the other way, which is always interesting, and you have these two beautiful circles just moving in front of you, and you do that for just 5 minutes at the beginning of each day, it's going to change your life. I promise you. Mm-hmm. So you breathe, you take one in and you let it out, and you do like the first circle was clockwise if you want. And once that is comfortable, you do a second one on top that goes counterclockwise. So that way you get everything that's positive and everything that's negative, but in all kinds of perspectives. Mm-hmm. And so you breathe out both sides and you breathe in both sides. And that's when you open up both channels on each side, right? That's like the first step of, I call it energetic breath. Other people call it different things, but for shamans, that's the first breath that I take before going into ceremony. And then you can go to different circles, but just mastering this one can take a few days, a few weeks.
Thank you very much, Suzanne.
Yeah.
What you were just describing is very much building of vortices.
Yep.
Vortex of left and right, positive and negative, which again is the whole thing with the Tao and the yep. oneness of that. And what I discovered in some of my trainings in dowsing is that all vortices are both directions. The shadow of the opposite is there, and the wholeness is claiming all of it in one.
Yeah, exactly right. And it is exactly creating a vortex. Actually, it's creating your own Thor, because what you do at first is you're creating that Tor in front of you. Once that is comfortable, you will create one in the back of you, behind you. So you will be breathing through your heart, but creating the circles behind you. And eventually you'll have one that goes up and another one that goes down in front and in back as well. Mm-hmm. So you're literally creating that Thor that resembles a black hole, if you want, where everything is possible and nothing exists, but all exists at once.
And that is the way out of the world of duality and matter, because it is no longer that.
Yeah, everything so it's step one to becoming a shaman.
Or at least having a glimpse of that oneness.
Yeah. So what did you experience, Maxine, as you went through this? Because I'm curious, because you've already done the experience once, and doing this again, what came differently now?
So many things that it's difficult for me to distill it to something that is of value for the rest of this room. I kept getting references to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and that presence has a great deal to do with loving self. And his remarks, because I've had the great pleasure of being in rooms where he taught, that they were astonished when his community came to the West that Westerners don't like themselves, much less love themselves. when anyone in the Tibetan Buddhist community knows you won the lottery, you were born a human. Even if you were a ditch digger, you were born a human. You have the opportunity to move forward. What a blessing. How to celebrate that every breath. And I remembered that vividly. I also was constantly referencing my experience in the jungle under ayahuasca and the wisdom of that. And I began to understand that I tend to keep that as an experience off to my right, three-dimensional, me in it, and I occasionally will connect to it, but I'm not embodying it and experiencing my life through it, which is a very valuable insight. And part of that is that I'm not whole, not complete as yet. And I had ignored that all these many decades. And reclaiming the missing bits will change things profoundly, I'm quite sure. And I do know that this sense of double vortex, when I had a near-death experience, and that seems to be now universal, because mine was 20 years before the first books on near-death. That tunnel of light is a double vortex, moving to the left and moving to the right, and is utterly sentient. And I honestly believe in the experience I've been having here with this group, that all of breath, because breath is divine energy embodied into matter, is entirely all of this. It is that unification. And it is always both and more. And it is always the divine and the presence of the divine in us that just gets slowed down into matter. When we speed it back up, it's just divine light. Woohoo! Without content, without meaning. And we strive to give meaning to everything because we're human beings. We work out of this instead out of spirit. And the more we get into spirit, the less sense of control we have in moving forward with whatever goals we have or path we're on in our lifetime, I think. And the more we embrace this fluidity, what we discussed in the last meeting, the flow of magic and trusting that flow. I'm the queen of not trusting. And I'm learning more and more to trust. And I truly do believe in magic. And I do hope that you do another session on exploring that flow of magic so that we're not just stuck here. And for me, this business of now, I have always done timeline work for the last 30 odd years since I first learned it from Bandler and from Robert. And I've always been aware that now is entirely flexible. It can be the moment of a single word, the length of this session, the length of this day, year, lifetime, or just a moment. And it can move back and forth effortlessly, including ancestors, including other, because the others that are just here on this screen, we're all richly connected. Mm-hmm. We're connected in the community of shamans, connected in the community of seekers, of meditators, of NLP, of Stephen's work, of all of this. And it's endless. And the more we move it down into fluidity, instead of keeping it something we can grasp and evaluate as a solid, as something in matter. I mean, it's the business of the plain little baby steps in physics. You have matter, which is energy slowed down, warm it up, it becomes fluid, go further, it becomes gaseous, go further, it's plasma, and begins to go toward the divine. And that's really what we were doing here today, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's how I feel it too. So I like how you I think you've expressed it even better than I could. Going
Yeah.
through the different matters of physics and
Yeah.
really understanding that we are all that within our body. We forget, right? Within our body, we are all those forms of physics. So why not use them?
And that's the beauty of it. But we tend to think of them not as being fluid. And we
Yeah.
tend to grasp at maintaining material because otherwise you're losing your mind. You're losing your sense of self.
I
When
lost
the
my mind a long
self-
time ago
the
then.
whole of it. Hey, I didn't have it to begin with. You know my story about my birth, please.
So let's trust in the magic that we'll explore the magical self very soon.
And remaining more and more fluid, because I think that allows so much more than grasping at the dimension and the shape of who we are at the moment,
Yeah.
and maintaining that solidity of matter, the more fluid. I also was remembering something I was taught by a Hindu guru, that fire is a doorway. It transforms matter into gas and spirit. If you put incense, you put wood into a flame, it releases it into its other nature that moves higher up into higher realms.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be a useful thing to think on, for me anyway, and I hope
Yep.
for maybe someone else.
Yeah, I like how you say that, because that's one of the things, that's one of the tools I also use a lot, is when you want to get rid of something that's been bothering you, especially emotionally, write it down on a piece of paper, a piece of wood, whatever it is, whatever matter, and put it in the fire. It will release a lot more than if you're just like wanting to release it just with your mind. Doing it in the matter form will really release energies. It's absolutely amazing.
Two things are happening there. When you write it down, you're taking out of your brain and your heart and your guts and putting it outside of yourself and disassociating. When you burn it, you're not destroying it. You're transforming it into energy.
Exactly.
Because nothing's ever lost, and all things are present for a reason and a benefit. Mm-hmm. You're just transforming it back into energy.
Exactly.
How lovely.
And you're regaining your own energy, which is amazing.
You're no longer struggling with it and in opposition. You're in one.
Thank you, Maxine. Thank you for all those beautiful sharings. And I love how you just put it together, like trust the flow of magic and just remain fluid within it, right?
I do my best, and I'm far from achieving it.
Well, you're moving already forward on it. I'm sure of it.
I'm looking forward to having a session with you, darling.
Absolutely.
Bless you for all you've done today and have done in the past and will do in the future for this community, because you are an awesome resource, as is everybody in this room. And by the way, I loved what you had to offer, Michelle. It was absolutely dazzling. And also Daniel, so deep. And everyone, I can't read your name, Gloria. We all are giving so much to each other, even outside of awareness, because this is a group mind, because this is a field mind. And we're even giving this to Stephen and the whole of the CM field, because they're not separate and energy has no boundaries, ever, at least in my view. I'm done speaking. I'm too talkative. Sorry.
Thank you, Maxine. I love how you just end with, we're contaminating everybody else with our beautiful light. I love it. So is there anybody else who wants to share?
James?
I wasn't going to point any names, but she did.
I don't know that I have much to add to the eloquent and touching responses other people have made. I had a sense of, when you asked dropped inside what is presence, I had that sense of sort of quiet and calm, but also what was there was just a vibration. And that we're all vibrating, and we're all, you know, it's like a choir where sometimes the vibrations are in sync, sometimes they're not quite in sync, but we're all alive in that way. And the breathing piece was, thank you. I mean, thank you for all of this, Suzanne. That part was really that wonderful sense of a connection, you know, and sharing. And the last thing I wanted to mention that really touched me was the drop and the ocean. And that I think, as Daniel was alluding to, we're connected. It's not a question of, for me, it's not a question of how do I connect. We are connected. The question is more, what do I do with that? How do I live that connection? Where do I go with that? How do I, what's next, given the connection is here? And yeah, it was a little bit like a sense of, it's like the breathing, there's an ongoing exchange, there's an ongoing movement. And am I going to just sit back and allow myself to be carried around, or try to get off the movement of the wave? Or am I going to surf on the wave? Am I going to stand up and be an actor rather than a passenger? How am I going to choose, or am I going to, I don't know, something else?
I like that question. I've never experienced that question before, but I love how you asked that question, right? How can I learn to surf on the wave instead of just being carried around with it? And I think the more that we become conscious of it, I always say my life is a constant conversation. I go outside, I talk with the birds. Like I go into the gardens, I will talk with the plants. I really do have conversations with birds. Trust me, they answer back. But I think the more we're aware of it, the more we are being fed information. And now it's just getting used to having that information in the inflow and knowing when to grab on to what's vibrating. And I like how you say vibrating, because for me, when things are coming in and going out, I will know if it's true for me by its vibration. My entire body starts shaking when I get that image, or I get that emotion, or I get this feeling that I know that needs to be part of me and part of my life as well, right? It's just an echo that I'm hearing and I'm recognizing. And the more you grab on to those that are coming in and out, the more you surf the wave. So it's interesting how you put that. I'd love to see what comes out of that reflection as you sit in that question in the next few days, and see how you can surf more. I'll see you with that like surfboard in Yukon. That's going to be really interesting. Thank you, James. So Aidan or Eileen or Barbara, is there anybody who wants to share? We still have a little bit more time. Barbara, yeah.
Interesting times. I was getting the sense of this year being something where getting used to chaos, not used to chaos, really embracing chaos and its creative nature, because it's bringing together my, my psychological studies with my shamanism. It's bringing together, and it's like a yin yang year. It's bringing together from the energy, everything we were saying is my humanness and my offering of who I am as a human, like more. It felt like it was about making babies, I guess, like not children babies, but the kind of making the new things. And so in a weird way, it was chaos and definition too, defining, making more available everything that is me and everything that, everything that's about presence. So contrast and past and present, and in all of it, making better connection with myself and with other people. And I don't know what it'll look like, but I do know it's going to be more fun.
I like the more fun. Is there an intention that came out for the next year? Because you talked a lot about how the past year was with embracing the chaos, creating new things, defining, contrasting.
Actually, the chaos, I believe, is something I have to embrace in the new year. That I'm not concerned with chaos, because I immediately, when I was seeing a picture with Aiden with a headdress, and I'm going, my headdresses are in California. What the heck are they doing there when I'm in Brazil? Or, dang, I got to get my drum out. But I gotta like write down some stuff about psychology again. Like, so I have some literature. I gotta, but I'm just going, okay, going forward, going to embrace it all, hanging out with the right people. Hello. And having, and the main thing. So my intention might be called fun. That's trite. It would be letting the opposites come together and dance. That's also trite, but it's also fun.
I always say opposites, when you look at the weather, opposites actually create the thunder and the lightning and all of the storms. But that's what actually cleans our environment out as well, right?
Exactly.
Interesting. So I wish you lots of fun and lots of opposing coming together.
Back at you.
Awesome.
I'd like to say thank you, Suzanne. It was a really quite a profound experience. A little bit left without too many words. Just to touch on something Barbara said, I think you might be referring to this photo. It's not me wearing the feathers. It's my friend Tue. I have like maybe one really small feather, if that, compared to my teachers. I'm just a student, and they even say that they're students of their teachers. So, who knows with all this stuff. I think what was really interesting was just this kind of refrain that's been playing for a while, which is make a day each week where there's time to sing, where there's time to just be kind of connected to the land, and that's the kind of emotional and sort of physical part of my world taken care of. I think from an intentional point of view, optimize my whole life for sleep and organization. If I have those two things well grounded, then everything else kind of takes care of itself. So,
I'm just gonna. I like how you shared, but as you were sharing,
I've made pages of notes about various things as we've been.
You're breaking a lot.
It's been really good to have the reflections from each of you as well.
Thank you. You're breaking a lot, so I'm just going to invite you to look into your energy field. Because I know there's a lot in your energy field. I don't know if you're still there, Aiden.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Now you're starting to move. There's a lot in your energy space. You've got a lot of static around you, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah, so grounding is going to be important. They keep telling me to ground. I don't recognize the type of wood, so it's probably not something we have here. But you really do need to touch base with roots, with trees that have like really huge roots. And whatever's in your past is in your past. So just give it to those roots. Like the reason why you need such a big ass tree with like major roots is to give whatever is no longer necessary or useful to you, to give those to the roots. Write little papers, put it beneath every single of those roots. Yeah, because there's a lot of static and it was hard for me to keep it out actually. So it's interesting. You don't need so much static. That's what it's not me who's talking, right? It's really like with what I'm gathering from the spirits right now. But I like, yeah, I think your intention is point on, right? It's really touching to how to ground yourself on a daily basis and expand on that. And if you want to discuss more, just drop down a message in Telegram, and I'd be glad to have more of a discussion with you anytime.
Bless you. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, sir.
Suzanne, that's what I was talking about in terms of technology and how we relate to it, how it mirrors.
It does mirror, but then if you know how to handle it, right? And if you know how to position it, because it happens to me all the time with my clients, right? When we touch something that is very, very true, it's either when we're in big resistance or we're touching something very, very true, the technology will go wonkers. Like, I don't know how many times I've lost the connection and we had to reconnect. And it's absolutely natural, right? Because what's happening is like all of a sudden it just connects. And so when you have two vibrations that are really harmonious, all of a sudden it peaks up, right?
Right.
And it's just as powerful as if you have two different energies that are like contrasting. So for me, they're just indicators. I've started to use them as indicators. I'm not afraid of them anymore. It's like, whatever, we'll just reconnect. I mean, it's not problematic. We just gave space to it and breathed it into it. And it allowed Aiden to continue his thoughts and share with us as well. So don't be afraid of it. Use it, right? My clients know, like, as soon as it starts, you could see the bars going down to yellow and red, and they know, and they're like panicking because they know they've just touched something very strong. But at the same time, you have that confirmation. Use it. Don't be afraid of it. Use it, right? And so my clients know it's just absolutely natural process. It's like going through the process that all of a sudden you've got tears, or you're burping, you're farting, or your body's making all kinds of noise because it's letting it out. And that is just as normal in the process.
It's kind of like what Maxine was talking about too, in terms of the physics of everything and the interaction, and how that informs us. So
yeah, you just learn to flow with it. But yeah, it's and I could say, Michelle, for me too, right? My resistance was there at first because I was like, how am I, like, I really hated to use this technology because it was constantly like breaking or filtering or staticky, but it just informs us now. Yeah, use it as a tool amongst the other tools. Awesome. Thank you, Aiden.
Can I offer?
I'm just going to check if Eileen, because I know she has her camera off, but if she wants to share, it would be, I would offer her the opportunity first.
She did leave a chat saying that she had to go. I don't know if she's here now.
Oh, I think it was Jane though that said that.
Was it Jane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, if she is not available, then Maxine, I'll give you the last words before I take the last words.
This was just a thought that came up from wonderful Barbara's share. The business of chaos versus one right way. And when we're in chaos and the rug has been pulled out from under you, like suddenly your parent or your spouse or yourself has cancer, or God knows what has become of your life. that's all thrown into chaos, and the meaning and the structure has been thrown into chaos. Chaos is the presence of all possibilities, all change, no distinction, no differentiation. When you move down to making choice and sorting things out until you have, yes, this is the right way. One right way is a dangerous idea because it means no change, no possibility, no growth, no evolution, sameness. It's important to be able to, in my view, because I used to do a class on this where I had everything in boxes and you move down and then you move back up, because you can move back up and make other choices. And unless you're very, very fluid about moving up and down and catching a glimpse of chaos where all things exist, you can sneak up there and grab hold of goodies. That's magic. And bring it back down to wherever you're living, solidly or fluidly, and enjoy and celebrate those options. To take those options away can be sad.
Yeah. Thank you. I love how you said that. Like, chaos is just the presence of possibilities.
It is.
There's a resistance from us, from like the part of us doesn't want to go explore other possibilities. We like the comfort of knowing what's there, but often the comfort becomes uncomfortable.
And chaos is overwhelming because it's undifferentiated. It is all possibilities, all energy, all period, without distinction. And we have to create by pulling it down into choices we're making about health, choices we're making about lifestyle, choices we're making about how we want to be in the future.
I like the word choice.
This feels right. That's it. No, that's it for right now. And know that it is best to keep fluid. I'm saying that's just my view. What can I tell you? I'm an opinionated old babe.
Thank you, Maxine. It's always fun to hear from you. You always have the perfect words, right? Just knowing when.
It's all channeled. It isn't me.
Yeah, well, I say the same thing. See, we're from the same bird. It's going to be interesting. Thank you, Aiden, for reconnecting. I knew you had some difficulties there, so it's always perfect. So thank you all for this experience. I hope it fed your end of cycle and will feed the next cycle. The words I was hearing, just bringing more presence into our lives, into our body, to remain fluid, to remain aware, to remain in this conversation of life that's happening all around us is really what it's all about. And I wish you all of that for 2022 that is coming up very rapidly on us. So thank you for all your sharings, and hope to see you again in 2022.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Suzanne. Love you and love everybody in this room and everybody in the community. Mwah. Bless you all, and the happiest and most joy-filled New Year.
You too, Maxine.
You too.
Go
Thank
for
you,
it.
Maxine.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Oh, there we go.
Oops, there she goes. Woohoo!